And while my next guests are taking their seats, I'm also going to find my chair right now because we're going for a little panel discussion. Yeah, we've mentioned it already here in the room, and Katrien has mentioned it as well. There's forest fires, there's empty rivers, and extremely hot weather all around the globe. These are extraordinary conditions for cultivating and faces us with a huge challenge. But what can we do? That is the main question that we'll be trying a little bit to answer here today, because as we said before, there is no time to waste. Together with Andries, Elisabeth, and Robert, I'll be discussing these issues, and I will introduce them a little bit more before we start. Andries Middag, on this side of me, is CEO of FAVI, and that is the Association for the Potato Processing Industry. Since the beginning of this year, he's made the shift from the flower growing industry to the potato industry. So that's interesting. And at FAVI, Andries is responsible for the coordination of the Brussels and The Hague potato lobby. And he also works on the sustainability program. Now, during this panel discussion, he will focus on the issue of drought and also the opportunities and possibilities there are to solve that problem a little bit more. On this side, Elisabeth Coutinho. She is proud to be working in the potato sector and is commercial at Calcop, one of Portugal's packers. Calcop performs land analysis to make sure that there's the best seed to feed the world, and also they provide farmers with assistance and support. They are a packer, so they also make sure that those potatoes are actually available in our supermarkets. In Portugal, of course, it's one of the countries that is currently experiencing the climate change firsthand. So she really wants to work together now to see how we can find solutions for the future. Last but not least, Robert Graveland, director from HZPC Research. Together with his colleagues in the research center, he is working on the latest, the newest, the best varieties that we can get, and that can sustain under these growing and more challenging conditions that we see around the world. Now, as with Katrien, and of course with Michiel as well, if you have questions, do not hesitate to put those in the chat. For the room as well, if you have questions or contributions to make to our conversation, please feel free to raise your hand and we'll make sure that we can hear you all. Now, Andries, to start with you on this side, as I mentioned, you made the shift from flower growing to potato growing. What made that happen and how is that?
Yeah, and maybe it has to do with my gender or the time of the day, but to me it makes perfect sense to switch from flowers to food. That was a joke, sorry. But still it makes sense to me. I worked with farmers for over 10 years, and now I want to move on to those bigger farmers, those multinationals, see how they do. I thought maybe they have some challenges too, and they have, so I'm not disappointed in the work there is still to do for me. So quite a good move, I would say.
So you started this year, so it's all quite new. Nonetheless, you've mentioned that the potato is the superfood of the future. Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I don't know how many time you'll give me for that, but maybe an example sometimes works, at least with my children, so I think that will work with you too. So imagine on one hand, I have a potato, average potato, 100 grams, and on the other hand, I have like an apple, one. I have a pear, I have a carrot, and also 100 grams of green beans. Which of those hands has the most vitamin C? I think that's a rhetorical question. So that is the hand, in average, with a potato. So it's really healthy.
And that will be surprising for many people who will probably
maybe
pick
not in this room.
Not this room, but yeah, if you ask
sure,
someone in the street.
Yeah, I think we have something to do on that. So it's very healthy. I think it's really sustainable. We come to that. It is, and it will be even more. Less input of water, for example. And I think it's tasty. I already mentioned it, and it's affordable, which is I think important also for people who don't have the situation as we have in Holland or in Europe.
And can't afford all those different fruits and things, and maybe potatoes is their only way. So a superfood in your eyes. Robert, I can imagine that you don't agree with that. But what is your vision on this?
Well, I can certainly agree with that, indeed. And within the uncertainty of the world, we have a certainty that we like, because Potato, on top of that, is one of the staple crops that uses the least water to provide kilograms per hectare or the calories nutrition. So that is great, and that guarantees that will remain as a staple crop in all the packages that we can see it from fresh to processed. Locally as a cash crop or as a food crop, it works very wise. And that we see that even governments in certain countries like China, India, or in Africa, it's strategic number 1 or number 2 crop. So it will remain. And there's another certainty that's more challenging. It has been mentioned, that is the climate change that will continue for another 30 years. So what we see now to continue building the super crop, super variety, super food that we need, we indeed have already like 10 years invested in research, and over the really last 5 to 7 years we really built a resilient breeding system to answer those questions, where we see varieties, as mentioned by Michiel, popping out. And there's more varieties, but we'll come back to that. Yeah, so a great future ahead of us.
So it's a very important part of that, making sure that the world population can eat also many years from now. Now, one of the challenges that we're facing is drought all over the world, but you're experiencing this firsthand in Portugal, which had an incredibly hot year, to say.
Yes.
Can you share your experiences? What's happening in Portugal?
Yes,
and I know you brought some numbers as well.
Yes, I brought some numbers of the Portuguese reality. We all know that in Europe this was the worst drought of the last 500 years, and in Portugal
500 years.
Yes,
yeah.
and in Portugal it wasn't different. So during the month of February, our territory was more than 90% in severe drought. May was the most hottest and driest month from the last 90 years. During the month of June, we had 30 to 40 percentage of our territory in extreme drought. In June, we also, our government, seeing this scenery, our government decreed a severe drought in Portugal. And during the month of July, we had already 45% of our territory in extreme drought. Our water index was between 20 to 30%. That's really low.
And that means how much water is available. Yeah.
Yes. The rainfall was only with 3 millimeters, so that's really low. It's 22% of the normal amount that we usually had. And our dams were also below the normal levels. We have more than 60 dams in Portugal, and more than 26 were below 40% of their capacity. So we had, yes, a difficult year, yeah.
Yeah, and how did farmers respond to this? Because it's their livelihood. It's also part of the production in Portugal. What were some of the experiences that you heard?
Yes, even the Portuguese government took some measures. So we tried to reduce the production of water in the dams. We increased a little bit the price of the water. We tried to sensitize the population not to waste water, to do an efficient use of water. We look forward and we try to keep the Treaty of Albufeira. That's an agreement that we had with the Spanish to let the water come to Portugal from the river. So we try to reinforce that union. We also looked to the dams from another perspective, because we know that to have water from the dams, it may cost 3 to 10 centimes. So we try to clean them up. We try to enlarge their capacity. We also try to do a project of desalination of water, because we already do that in Porto Santo, and we create a project for Algarve. This is a project that we have, but we know that it has risks, because the price won't be 10 centimes, it will be 35 to 50. We have also the brine risk because it's toxic, and even if we return it to sea, it will damage the environment.
Right.
And all the process, it has a great pollution. So that we must really think over. We also try to reuse residual water because in Portugal we can irrigate the fields from that water. In Portugal we reuse 92% of the water of the residual waters in hectares, but we only use 2%. So we can improve that, and we are trying to improve that. And from the hectares, we can also take advantage of the muds, because that could be a great source of phosphorus for the lands.
Yeah, we see here in the back some of the pictures of this year.
Yes,
we saw a
of
map
the dam,
as well.
of the soils, yes, of some champs, some fields that had no water, yes.
Yeah, and the little map that we saw on the previous slide,
Yes.
the bright red or the dark red,
Yes,
that
was
indicates...
from the month of February. Nowadays, the rain is coming, so we don't have extreme drought.
That's good at least. So this year seems
But
to be a little better
still
this
need,
part of the year.
We still need a lot of water because in Portugal, 70% of the water is used for agriculture use.
Yeah.
So
just to see, because it's not just Portugal that's
Yes.
living this. Are there people here in the room who are, let's say, from like a southern country where drought really is an issue? I'm sure there are. Over there, somewhere.
Yeah.
Here, some more. Where are you from, if I may ask? South Africa. Yeah, that's way south. Yeah, I can imagine. Anyone here also who raised their hands just to see in the room where people are from? Regions where drought. Over there, where are you from? You can yell. Spain, yeah, your neighbor, yeah, it must be the same things. So you mentioned some of the things that are happening right now.
We are doing in public, but the farmers, they are also trying to do some things, and Calcob is also working with the farmers because we try to choose the best soils with them, the best varieties, the earliest, the more resistance. We do all that work with them, the nitrogen needs. And they are trying also to implement agriculture of precision with resourcing to computers, to humidity sensors, all that. And for that, the government are trying to give some aids, like funds for the electricity, to implanting photovoltaic panels, for the creation of
financial
systems.
aid,
yes,
for instance,
the government is trying to do that. It's a long way still to do.
I can imagine, yeah.
But in Portugal, we have 3.7 million of hectares that are used in agriculture, and 22% are equipped with an irrigation system.
Okay.
Because we must have the idea that watered land can give us 5 to 10 yields more than...
so that's very important also to move to your neighbor. What you're hearing here about Portugal, that must ring through for many other regions as well. And what is happening at HZPC right now to improve this?
Yeah, that's correct. And in one way we have experienced it also before, so we could see it coming. The extremes become more extreme. So we have designed trial fields where we can measure the response on less water or no rainfall during the whole season, or various scenarios during the season, how varieties respond. So like with Quintera, we can measure like 106% of efficiency. So there's a great response when it has water and the efficiency to make it into yield and dry matter. So we have these figures now for varieties, and that's why we have them as an even greener, as a sustainable variety. That is very important. An early crisp variety, new one like Norman, which is a short season. So you have less irrigation cycles. That saves cost, because input costs are of course very important for the growers. And that gives then security, because you need less days to grow. So we have designed that into the breeding system, and the technologies on the crop production side that you mentioned, bringing that together will give a good future. We need each other. We have some technology developments in breeding, bringing the better varieties. We need a bit of time, but they are coming out already, as we
Yep.
see. Yield is driving everything, because we need to have more yield. Because we need housing, we need industry, we want to grow solar panels instead of crops. Climate, even nature. In advanced cultures, they want more nature instead of arable land.
So what is available
So
has
we
to be
need to
used to
produce
its full
more.
potential. Yeah.
So we need that yield, and on top we need those sustainability factors. And like the HOM 138236, which is on the ring, is one of those drivers that is out yielding the French fry varieties, and on top loaded with the lower nitrogen, the resistances,
That's the
etc.
waste,
So
yeah.
we have them in place, and it's coming out more and more. But I guess also industry takes a responsibility.
I was just about to ask. Yeah.
Sorry.
Is that enough to help the world, or do you have a different idea on that? And what are you doing yourself, maybe?
I think we're doing quite a lot. And what I was wondering, because I heard a lot of measures, really impressive, a long list of all things you do, but I don't think I heard anything about soil quality or
Soil
soil
quality?
health. I think
Yeah.
that might be one of the solutions, especially for us here in Netherlands. We have those high yields, but those require some inputs. And we are really struggling, so to say, with government, other parties who have another position on that. So we try to make a system kind of in a balanced way, which is not easy, so to say. But I was really wondering, how is it also the way of thinking in Portugal or in your region? The soil health, is it something?
Yes, we can. We are. This is a really important subject, and that we are sensitize all the persons for that. We have a challenge that is we need to produce more, better, doing an efficient gestion of water. Yes, and
So soil health is
so
a
the
part
soil
of that.
is something that we in the choose of the soil we do that analyze all that with the farmers. So that's really important for us to
work
yes,
on
to
some a little
work,
bit more.
yes,
And if we
yes.
look at all the developments that are going on, there, of course, from your side, a lobby as well for potatoes in Brussels, and in case of the Netherlands, in The Hague. From your part, research and development. What is something that you would say we really need, or you're looking forward to being there for specifically the issues that Portugal is facing? Is there something missing that you think that is something that we need?
No, nowadays we are really looking at this, and being here and talking about this is really important, and we are already doing a path. It's important, this partnership that with HZPC, and they are searching for new varieties for more with low inputs, and that's really important. And from our side, we are also doing the rest. We are trying to do a better gestion of water, and that's something that we are in the good way. That won't be perfect, no, but we are talking about that. We are looking at that, and that's really important at this moment.
Okay, very good. I would like to take this opportunity to go into the room before we go into the chat, which also has been coming in with some questions, because I'm curious about some of the challenges that you're facing. And for the people watching, I will be disappearing again, but that doesn't mean I'm actually gone. I'm just going to this table here right in front of me. And I'm curious to know who you are, what you do, and do you face any challenges to start with?
Yeah, I'm John Limmer from HZPC UK. So I'm product manager, so I look at analysing which varieties work for the UK.
Okay, so specifically for that thing. And what are some of the specific issues that you could say are special for the UK or Ireland?
We have quite a lot of pest issues, soil-borne
Right.
pest issues that we look at specifically.
Yep.
That's quite an issue for the UK.
So pests mostly. Good, so you're working on that, not so much drought. Let's go over to this table, and you see me walking through the image there. This gentleman here, someone who's not from HZPC, because of course that would be nicer. Or is this whole table? Okay, this table over here, someone. Also as well, where are you from?
Finland.
Finland.
Yeah.
Finland, and you made the trip here to Jaure.
What?
You made the trip here to Jaure specifically for the potato days?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And what do you do in Finland?
I'm a seed potato farmer.
Seed potato farmer.
Yeah.
Is there something you're specifically looking for? Or hoping for?
Better varieties.
Sorry?
Better varieties.
Better varieties.
Yeah.
And in what aspect specifically? Because drought, I don't think, is an issue in Finland.
It's not an issue, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Is it also diseases maybe in Finland or soil?
Maybe.
Frost, yeah.
Frost, yeah.
Frost is a good one. Robert, is there something in the Nordic countries that you could say is specific for that region and that you're working on as well?
Well, maybe it's the shorter seasons that we bring back actually at many places in the world, because we when you can produce the same or more in less growing days, it saves you a lot, and you escape a lot. Escaping is one of the strategies. And we can't escape from certain things like the soil. We're building a lot of knowledge on that one, how bacteria, the whole rhizospheres, deeper root system contribute to resilience in that crop. There's a lot of factors that are needed to produce better and more with less.
Okay. I'm going to jump to the chat because a few questions came in. Andries, this one is specifically for you. What do you think is the biggest challenge that will be facing our sector in the next 10 years?
Now, maybe the biggest one is, do we have enough potatoes to process? Because we hear all those beautiful things we can do with them. We really need them to feed the world, but do we have enough space to grow them and to process them? I think that's. But maybe it's a bit of looking from my perspective. I think maybe more in general, I think we can do something. In Holland, we use like 150 million ton of gas.
Right.
I think that has something to do, right? When we can make a move to green energy, that would do something. I think we cannot stop climate change by doing that, but it would at least be something to help. And I also think we need those better varieties, and also. It's not only on the varieties being on the market, but it's also on the farmers using them. I think more or less when Katrien told in Africa 1 or 2 acres, maybe the size of the farm doesn't matter. I think farmers are quite a kind of family altogether. So also here the adoptance of new varieties and the use of new ways of farming, working with nature, together with nature, I think we still have something to do. And I think especially my companies, they have those instruments, they have the knowledge to help the farmers to really make the transition and to speed up to the speed we need.
Yeah, so to become future-proof, we could say.
Yeah.
One final question. I think that this is one that you can all answer. It's a good one. We're talking about climate change and what we should do to change. But someone's asking, are we still on time or are we too late already? Maybe in another phrase we can say, can we keep up with climate change? What do you think?
I would say yes, we better do in this very low country. And I think we have those possibilities. We have the knowledge, and I also maybe that's not the same everywhere in the world, but we have the money, we have the skills. I think everything is available to do it. We just need to do it.
Right. Take that step.
Stop talking. Start working.
Stop talking, start working.
Yeah. And
anyone you want to add?
I think the proof is that we are here together. We are talking about this. We are seeing what we can do, so we are right on time and we can do a better way. Yeah,
we're taking those steps.
Yeah.
Robert, some final words?
No, just you're never on time. You're always in one way too late. But we have also experienced for a variety like Panamera in traditional areas where we say low input, but they're used to throw more, so it gives yield. Now it's driven by the cost factor. So at that time the variety was actually too early, and now we can see it picking up again. So you can also be too early, but there's challenge in the world as well, that you see that new technologies like editing, they are already coming to countries where it is available and allowed. Other countries it's not, or other regions, but technologies can play a part. But knowledge is still driving the whole factor. So let's also keep on building knowledge, and that's what we use to make varieties, and knowledge, share it in these days among each other is very important, I guess, that we connect.
So we are smart enough to keep up with the challenges
Yes.
that are keeping pace with us.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, all three of you, for being here, Andries, Robert, and Elisabeth.